Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to DiabloCast, your Diablo 3 podcast. Here is where we keep you up to date on all things Diablo 3 related, share with you any recent news, and then give you our thoughts and opinions on anything going on in the Diablo universe. I'm of course your host, Dennis Force Duhamel, and with me as always is Kevin Sixen Carlino.
What's up, guys?
And Tyler CyberDragon Milneth.
Hey guys, how's it going?
So how's everyone doing today? We have a good week? Anything exciting going on for either of you two?
Like 50 tweets from Diablo.
50 tweets? That's awesome. How about you, Tyler? How's life?
Bashiok keeps ignoring me. It's upsetting me.
Not a kind soul at all. Well, we do have a lot on the plate for today. Definitely a lot to discuss. After going through about a 2-week drought, the end of last week brought just a flood of information, like that drought and flood segue right in there. That's pretty phenomenal there. We do have a little talk about rushing in Diablo 3. Also a discussion on the level cap and why it is going to be 60, the reasons behind that. We have some topics about randomization in the game, a little discussion about how the actual structure of the game, the layout of it is going to work out. Also the announcement of Blizzcon ticket sales, which will be taking place sometime in the near future. Then we're going to be moving into discussion about health systems in the game. So with that said, we'll just go ahead and jump right into our first topic, which is rushing in Diablo 3. Late last week, there was basically a blue post from Bashiok discussing how rushing is going to work in the game. And what we're talking about specifically in terms of rushing is the idea of taking a low-level character and then having a high-level character bring you through the game quickly. Being able to go through all of the acts really quickly and work your way up. And there's two basically points to this. There's the idea of rushing for the sake of getting your character up to a position where your friends are to play with them. But then there's also rushing that takes advantage of glitches, allowing you to get up faster using unintended mechanics within the game. Now, specifically what Bashiok stated was that form of rushing, using glitches and unintended mechanics, is something that they're going to be trying to fix. And this is obviously just one of the small parts of the purpose of a beta, trying to find these glitches and issues and trying to resolve them. But the idea of rushing to catch up with your friends is something that they support. So Kevin, how do you feel about rushing in general in the game? And I don't know, just what are your thoughts on that?
I'm kind of the same way as Bashiok is. I mean, glitch rushing, it was great because, I mean, Diablo 2, it's like, alright, we've already played the game so many times. Who wants to go through it one more time? I mean, really in Diablo 2, all it was is, okay, let's all get to Baal or Chaos so we can just Chaos run or Baal run so we can hit max level, because in D2, that's what it was all about. I mean, max level was the thing, and like we were talking about last week, it wasn't anything more than just a status symbol. But glitch rushing, I mean, it's not that great. In D3, I really hope it isn't, because I'm not really sick of D3 content yet, so I can't wait to play as much D3 as I possibly can. However, on the other hand, we have rushing to catch up to friends, which I don't really think it's a problem. Something that Bashiok mentioned was that it's good for the social kind of experience. So say you and I are playing together, maybe you're level 20 and I'm just starting a brand new character, you can help me catch up to where you are in the game, so then you and I can progress through the game together, which I think that makes sense.
Yeah, no, and I certainly agree with that. Now, in terms of glitch rushing specifically, do you know of anything in particular? Did you have much experience with it in Diablo 2?
Well, I guess I probably should have gone over what exactly a glitch rush or a G rush was for those who don't really know or haven't played Diablo 2 for a while, because this is something that's fairly new. So essentially what happens is there are level caps on normal, nightmare, and hell for the ancients. So because we can't complete the ancients until a certain level, we shouldn't be able to complete that difficulty, you know, because Baal comes after that, and in order to complete the difficulty you have to kill a Baal. However, if you have somebody in your game that is of the required level and they're in your party, then as long as you're in Act 5 in town, you can get the quest. So if we have, in normal, if we have somebody that's level 25 in the game already, then what they do is they go down and complete the Ancients quest. That's fine. So now they go and get Baal. If they complete Baal, I'll also get the quest, so I'll essentially be glitched into the next difficulty, even though I'm really not of the required level. So what happens is people do this a lot, and then they go ahead and well, up until recently, I believe this just got fixed in, I think it was 1.13b. So you go and do Uber level you basically you can go from 1 to 92 in a couple of hours. I mean, it's really not that difficult. But after 92, you you don't get much experience, but at that point it doesn't really matter anyway, because again, look, we were talking about last week, 92, basically from 85 to 99 doesn't really matter. I mean, you can still kill everything in hell.
Yeah, well, I mean, like you just mentioned too, it was recently fixed, and this is the kind of thing that, I mean, this is part of the whole iteration process, and being able to do things through testing, and you can only find these kinds of things through constant play testing, basically. And so besides the beta, as the game's released and people are continuously playing it, these things will be found and hopefully fixed. And I think a big part of Battle.net 2.0 is that they have easy access to these things, so they can basically, they've got a recording of everything that's going on in all of these games. They've got all of that information at their disposal, since everything you are required to be online to actually play. That you have to basically sign in online, much like you have to in StarCraft 2, in order to play the game. So this makes it a little bit easier for them to track things like this, and as such be able to fix it. Whereas if someone were LANing and they were using glitches like this, it wouldn't be as easy to spot. And I think that's also part of the reason why we've segued into LAN-heavy games to things being focused just through an online system. For Blizzard, Battle.net 2.0. I think that's actually a big part of the reason why, because it makes it easier for them to fix and resolve these issues, since they have everything server-side, basically.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Unfortunately, this glitch rushing, I guess mechanic you can call it, was also available in the closed servers, so on the actual Battle.net servers, not just on LAN. But like you were saying, yeah, the reason for them going straight Battle.net instead of open Battle.net or LAN means that now nobody can really hack their characters or anything, so... I also saw this question recently on the forums, kind of relates to this. Will these characters translate into our Battle.net? So, yes, we can play Diablo 3 offline. Technically, it's offline. But these characters, I really don't think that they should be the same as the ones we play over Battle.net for that simple fact. I mean, you can hack your characters when they're offline. I mean, it's going to have to be possible. Just how any game is created, there's a save file, and as long as you can figure out how to hack the save file, it can be done, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Are you certain? I mean, I know that there's going to be an offline option, but I'm pretty sure at some point before you even have access to that, you do have to log online. Like I know in StarCraft 2, you can play a single-player offline mode, but you have to log online eventually. I think there's like repeated checkups or something along those lines. I guess we really don't know how it's going to work with Diablo 3 specifically, since the game's not out yet. But I know that it's kind of, I mean, I think it'll work somewhat like how Steam works, where you need like those every so often you need those online checks to see if this is something that's actually going to be available for you.
A while back, Jay Wilson had actually talked about having incentives to play online. So I feel that there's probably going to be a more optional way to play offline compared to StarCraft 2, where you can actually choose offline to begin with. But I think they're really going to add ways to make it so people aren't really wanting to do that.
Fair enough. I mean, I guess that seems reasonable, and it's definitely the case where there's a lot of people in the Diablo world who like to play offline and would prefer not to go online for various reasons, issues with internet connection and all of that, or just because it's more of kind of a reclusive game. It's really... You can play through as one person, but I definitely know they're also focusing on the co-op play, so Battle.net's going to be a big part of it. But I guess we've kind of strayed really far off topic, segueing from rushing into Battle.net and then all of this discussion. But I guess the long and the short to bring it back home is that rushing in general is going to be okay as long as it's not using glitches. And then that brought us right into Battle.net. So anyways, we can go ahead and move on to the next topic now, which is going to be discussion of the level cap in Diablo 3. So we do know as of now that the level cap is going to be 60, and last week, basically around the same time as discussion of this rushing post, Bashiok had another response in the Battle.net forums talking about the reasons why the level cap is where it's at. Kind of the long of the short is the fact that they're going with this level cap because they feel it's kind of the most reasonable balance between the different options. And now people freak out when they hear, level 99 gets scaled back to level 60. Does that mean I'm going to be playing half the time? I think something that's really important to realize is just because the actual physical number is smaller doesn't necessarily even mean the amount of time that it takes to get to that number is any less. If you take 1,000,000 XP, you can spread it between 99 levels or 60 levels. And all that, the only difference between the two is that with 1,000,000 XP throughout 60 levels, that's going to make it a lot longer per level. And that's another one of the big driving points that he was trying to bring home, was the fact that with this level cap, it's going to be kind of a more satisfying level experience, and each level will feel more rewarding.
They also said that they want Diablo 3 to play out just about, if not a little bit longer than Diablo 2 has played out. Now that kind of begs the question, what do you call playing Diablo 2 out? I mean, is Diablo 2 just this first quest to the last quest, or is it the race from 1 to 99? Now, if it's the race from 1 to 99, that's going to be an awful long gameplay. But if it's the first quest to the last quest, those people that kind of don't call the end of the game when you hit the last quest, like when you defeat Baal, that essentially should be the end of the game. So I'm thinking that Diablo 3 should just be about as long as that. So if we're hitting level 60 by the time we basically complete that in Hell, I mean, it shouldn't be that much longer.
The last we heard, it should take you about as long as it took to hit level 85 in Diablo 2 as it should to hit level 60 in Diablo 3.
All right, well, then, I mean, that seems reasonable, because that's basically, as we've talked about before, that's basically when the game was done, you still had to acquire gear and stuff, and you still, if you wanted to, grind the way up to 99, but you could accomplish everything you need to accomplish at that point. So that seems like a pretty reasonable thought. And then the one thing that we also know for a fact is that at the completion of Hell, you should either be at or near 60. Maybe with just a little bit more time to go, but that's the last we heard. So basically 3 run-throughs at the game through all 3 difficulties, and you're going to be at about the level cap.
And actually, that kind of makes sense, because looking back at some old notes that I had, the levels for the end game stuff, like Baal's minions at the end of the game, were level 85 and below. So that kind of makes sense.
All right, and the last part of the level cap discussion is the idea that expansions, which we are almost certain are going to be coming out, I would expect at least 1, possibly 2, and maybe kind of stretching it, but maybe 3, that's going to be the addition of levels in those expansions are pretty likely. And this is something else that Bashiok had mentioned, and it's not unreasonable to think about that. Someone even said something in particular in mentioning this on my channel. Someone said the only reason that they're doing level 60 is so that they can add more levels at expansions. And I replied with, is level 100 some impassable number? Because it's kind of baffling to me to think that if they wanted to put it to 99, that they couldn't add levels at the expansion. I thought that was kind of a silly comment, if nothing else. Obviously, breaking 100 in terms of levels looks kind of funny, but it's not something that's impossible to occur. But yeah, the general idea is that yes, there are likely to be expansions, and with that, there are likely to be additions to the levels. So trying to make it something more reasonable starting at 60 has something to do with it, if it's only something small.
Just to add Bashiok's disclaimer to his post, that they weren't thinking about expansions at all yet, but levels are intended to pace content, which means that it's not unreasonable to assume that levels could be added. So like we were saying in last week's cast, and what Dennis was just saying right now, then yes, it would make sense for a level cap to be extended for an expansion.
There you go. All right, and next up on the list of topics, we're going to be talking about randomization in the world of Diablo 3. Now, people were a little upset by the general thought and discussion that things are going to be a little more linear and a little more fixed in Diablo 3. Now, randomization is still going to play a big part of the game, but let's talk about something specifically in terms of how it's all going to play out. Firstly, the dungeons will be randomized, but they're not going to be basically clusterfucks. They're going to be linear, but that linear path will be randomized as well. Now, the other thing is the outside world, the outside environment will be fixed in the sense that the borders in the general roads and towns are all going to be in specific locations, but within that there will be pockets of randomized event and randomized content. The general idea and the general concept behind this whole thing is that they don't want people, it sounds kind of silly, but they don't want people to get lost, and they want to have kind of a common knowledge as to where things in the world are, as opposed to everything just kind of being wherever. So Kevin, you have anything to add to the whole randomization in Diablo 3?
Well, essentially, now instead of us kind of skirting around the edges looking for the next zone, now instead we want to spend more time actually playing through the content and getting through the meat and the bulk of what each zone will be. So in Diablo 2, where maybe we were, running around the edges just looking to get to Blood Raven or just looking to get to Stony Field because we don't have the waypoint or something like that, now we can actually spend time playing the game,
Yeah, no, certainly, and that's the truth. You would spend a lot of time skirting the edges to try to find the entrance to the next zone or to the next cave or whatever it may be, as opposed to spending most of your time in the actual content in the center of the map. And I think that's what they're trying to pull you into doing. Again, we're going to know the outlying corners of every specific zone. But we're going to be able to spend our time in the center of the zone where all those fun randomized events are going to be taking place.
Right, exactly. So in Diablo 2, where we knew, okay, the cave is in this part of Act 1, or the Den of Evil has to be in Bloodmoor, that kind of thing. In Diablo 3, now we're going to be running around, and if we don't take care of the bulk and the meat of each act or each zone, whatever you want to call it, then we're going to be missing out on these randomized events. So something that Bashak mentioned in the post, and actually something that they were telling me last year at BlizzCon, was that basically there are going to be randomized events in the sense that, so you and I might play through it, I might see like a caravan with somebody, some kind of NPC asking me to kill a bunch of Fallen, or going to save Deckard Cain in a cage again, or something like that. You might run by it and just see a bunch of just random, absolutely nothing. It just might be regular stuff for you.
Just to expand on what you guys have said too, these random zones that they have within the maps, they're not just going to be, possibly a different path. It can be like quests, treasures, dungeons. They're not just going to be some small thing. They're really going to change how you're playing the game. So, like Sixen said, sometimes I walk through and there's a caravan tipped over and a guy needs your help from some monsters. Other times I'll play through and there's an actual whole dungeon that I'll have an entrance to that I get to go into. And sometimes there'll just be times where you just go there and there's nothing. You just walk through the field and everything's fine.
Yeah, so basically to wrap it all up, randomization is still going to definitely be a big part of the game. Next, we're going to move into the discussion of BlizzCon ticket sales. It was now officially announced that we're going to be seeing those sales occur in the very, very near future. I think the first batch of tickets is going to be sold on Saturday, May 21st at 10 a.m. PST, and the second batch on Wednesday, May 25th at 7 p.m. EST. PST, there we go. Now, the ticket prices have gone up quite a bit. In fact, they are now at $175. There's also going to be other options. We do have the DirecTV virtual tickets for $40. Now, Tyler, do you plan on either going to the event or purchasing a virtual ticket, or neither?
If I get a chance to get a ticket, definitely, but I've tried the last 2 years and they sell out in about 5 seconds, so We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, it's pretty absurd. That's definitely a very short shelf life for those. Now, if you don't happen to go, do you think the virtual ticket is something you would consider? Is that something you've done in the past, or?
I had the virtual ticket for last BlizzCon, and it actually works out really well. You really get to choose what you're watching. They have 4 channels. I'm assuming it's going to be the same way this time. And I focused primarily on Diablo stuff and got to watch all of that, so it worked out pretty well.
Mm-hmm. And for those with a little bit of a deeper pocket, there are also charity tickets for kind of a little dinner with Blizzard employees, which is actually going to be taking place on... the sale for that is going to be taking place on Saturday, May 28th at 10 a.m. PST. Those are $500 a head, and I believe the dinner is going to be basically the night before BlizzCon. I'm pretty sure that's how it was.
Right, yeah, it's the Thursday night before.
So it's going to be a charitable event, and the proceeds of that are what are they going to? The
Children's Hospital.
Children's Hospital of California, something like that.
Correct.
There we go. So yeah, really nice. Again, if you have kind of deep pockets and you can swing that, I'm sure it'll be nice too to rub elbows with some of the Blizzard employees.
Yeah, and aside from that dinner, the price has gone up for normal tickets, but I don't think that $25 is going to make that much of a difference. I still think tickets are going to sell out in 20 seconds, like it did last year and the year before, and so on.
Oh, no doubt about that. And they're, it's supply and demand. This is kind of basic, economics 101 here.
Yeah.
If you can get away with it, then why not? It's definitely. This is going to really come under heated debate, no doubt about it. And in fact, if you guys want to leave your thoughts below in the comments, feel free. But it's meant to be an exclusive event in some sense, and I don't know. I personally feel like it's worth it for me, but it's also something that I can afford, so that probably comes down to it. I mean, the truth is that a lot of times with anything, when it comes to money and people getting upset about the cost of things, a lot of times it's not to be harsh, but it's because they can't afford it easily, and so they kind of get upset about it.
Well, I mean, in the end, that $25, that's extra $25 on the tickets. I mean, that's nothing compared to the plane, the airfare to go back and forth, the hotel you're gonna have to stay in for the couple of days, any food, anything. I mean, so the $25, yeah, it does add up. But I mean, that $25, I mean, Blizzard can squeeze it in there and not really have to worry about it. Yeah,
it's kind of a drop in the hat to the entire experience, like you said, especially airfare. I mean, I live on the East Coast, and I know that that's gonna be a pretty penny. But I mean, I'm gonna make a weekend out of it too. Like, I'm sure I think a few of my friends are gonna be going. My girlfriend's gonna be going. So once BlizzCon is all said and done, we're gonna take the opportunity while out there to see other stuff and do other stuff. So I don't know. Again, really financially, obviously. I mean, come on, let's be honest. It's a lot of money. $175 is a lot of money. But if you can afford it and something you want to do, then, what's the big deal?
Yeah, well, damn, I remember, I think the first one was like 120, and at one point they were only $100. I think actually they sold a second batch of tickets for $80. So you didn't get access to the concert at the end of the convention, but that was fine. I don't ever go to the concert anyway. I think the first one I spent like 3 hours playing StarCraft Ghost nonstop because everyone went to the concert, so there was just like 15 of us just kind of hanging out playing the games. So I mean, I didn't have to wait in line. I just got StarCraft Ghost for 3 hours straight. It was great.
There you go, the elusive, never released StarCraft Ghost. Very sad. That's another topic for another day, though.
Yeah.
And this is a little addition here. We got some breaking news during the recording of the podcast. We have some top secret information, Kevin, straight from the source here. What do we got? What do we got here? What's the news?
Yeah. So I was talking to Bashiok actually while we were recording this, and he gave me the final item type and color list. So basically, when stuff drops, you know how it has like an item type and the corresponding color, like in Diablo 2, unique and rare and that stuff. So in Diablo 3, this time around we have legendary, which is the new unique. They're calling it legendary, is going to be orange. And then we have rare, which is the next best, which is yellow. Magic is going to be blue. Normal is going to be white, and then we have new things that are going to be junk, which I'm assuming is quest items and stuff. Right? Is that right, Tyler?
I would assume the junk would be like the broken items from Diablo 2.
That could work too. And then we have set items. Set items are going to be green again, and then we have purple for runes, which is kind of different than Diablo 2 because, I mean, Diablo 2 they were originally white, and then they gave them an orange kind of coloring in the latest patch. But purple runes, that'll be new.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously runes are a complete 180 of how they were in Diablo 2, so I guess a new color to go with that makes a lot of sense. But I mean, this is exciting for multiple reasons. I'd say the biggest thing, the fact that they've, obviously as small as this may seem, the fact that they're starting to nail down a lot of these aspects of the game, it's getting me wondering. I mean, all this talk and all this tingling in the air about the possible release of the beta in the not too distant future, and then getting information like they've nailed down the colors and the item types, pretty exciting stuff, I'd have to say.
Oh, definitely, I agree with you. I mean, it just means we're that much closer, right? Yeah.
I'm just glad that they're going with orange for legendary instead of trying to go for gold, because I was sick of raising my contrast every time I got a rare item to see if it was unique or not.
Yeah, that was pretty rough. I mean, the coloring on those two was pretty bad.
It's too funny. So yeah, some top secret information, and this is the kind of stuff you're only going to hear here at DiabloCast. All right, now we're going to move on to discussion of game mechanics in Diablo 3. This is going to be something we'll be trying to do on a regular basis. Last week we did discuss in quite a bit basically how artisans were going to be working out, and this week we're going to be talking about the health system in Diablo 3. So Tyler, if you could give us a little more information on how the health system will work in the game.
Yeah, this is a pretty big change actually compared to Diablo 2 with the health system. We all know that in Diablo 2 basically it was potion spamming. You had your belt, 1 through 4, and you would just spam those constantly while fighting harder monsters. They wanted to get rid of that system in Diablo 3, so what they did is include a new item called Health Orbs. And basically, these are going to replace potions for the most part for most of your healing. And as you kill monsters, randomly they're going to drop. All you have to do is walk over them, it automatically picks them up and heals you. If you are in a group, it's actually going to heal the whole group as well, so it's not like you have to worry about fighting over orbs that are falling on the ground. With that also, it's important to remember that there's actually levels of health orbs, so it's not like every single health orb heals you the same amount. Depending on what difficulty you're on, what monsters you're killing, they're going to drop, larger health globes, so it's going to heal you even more for the harder fights.
I think something else that's really important to realize too is that there's going to be different abilities. I'm not certain if it's going to be traits or not. I feel like it's probably going to be traits. One of you can correct me if that's false, though, since it would be passive. But different characters are going to have abilities that will allow them to actually receive increased healing from the health globes. Now, do we know if those will be traits? They must be traits, right? Because they're not really spells. That wouldn't make sense if they were spells.
Yeah, there's traits for that. I believe this could be incorrect, and they're constantly changing the traits right now anyway. But I believe there's 2 different types. One will actually increase the amount of health globes that do drop, and then there'll be other traits that will increase the amount of healing per health orb that you get.
Yeah, so that's I think that's a really cool aspect, and I would have to say most certainly that I much prefer this health system to potion spamming. I just like how they reorganized it, because it doesn't make for fun gameplay to just stare at your health bar and hit 1 through 4 consistently just to keep it up. And I much prefer the fact that there's actual thought and gameplay tactical advantages by using the 1 through 4 system for spells now. That's something that I certainly prefer, and I certainly enjoy having, again, instead of staring at my health bar, I can be like, okay, what spells are best for this situation? What ability is best for this situation? Not, should I hit 1 or 4 for more health?
That's actually a really good point. And something else I wanted to point out was that it was also, the spamming health potions was also the same gameplay style for Diablo 1. So this isn't really just something they're changing from Diablo 2 to Diablo 3. This is a big change. They're changing this. This is a change from the Diablo series as we know it to something completely new. And actually, what you guys were talking about before, the traits, currently it's called Pound of Flesh. What it does is it increases the drop chance for a health globe from normal monsters by 20%, and then 10% by 10% per point, if I understand this correctly.
Oh, I thought Pound of Flesh was the nickname for my
for your what?
Oh, I was waiting for it. Like, I'm hard pressed at Diablo information right now, and jokes.
Heyo.
Thumb.
Clearly. All right, so Tyler, do you have more to add to the health trait system and how it's going to work in the game?
Yeah, just for those worried too about this new system, that health potions are still in the game. It is something, and is an item you'll be able to use. I know when I first heard the news, I was kind of worried because it takes away any sort of player tactics, like I don't get to choose when I get healed. So there will be potions for those times where you are running pretty low and no health orbs have dropped for you. They'll have a cooldown, so you won't be able to spam them constantly.
Yeah, I'm not trying to argue for the fact that having health potions is bad, but I think spamming health potions was definitely a bad mechanic in the game. But that's a good point that you make, though, being able to heal yourself at a given point in time, because healing in general isn't a big part of the game. So obviously having that option through potions is something that's good. It's something that's positive.
As I understood it, health globes in D3 are actually going to be made into the boss fights and stuff like that. I believe Tyler was talking about that before. But they're going to be necessities during boss fights. So you're going to have to be killing monsters and picking up these health globes so that way you don't actually die. They're going to be important. So yeah, maybe it's not like a huge mechanic of the game, but it's definitely a necessity.
Definitely. For boss fights, like they've said, there's going to be a bunch of other stuff going on other than just, the single foe that you're fighting like it was in Diablo 2. So having to find those health orbs and where to get them and dealing with that while fighting this huge beast is going to be pretty game-changing, I feel, at least for boss encounters. And then for you PvP players out there, there will be health orbs randomly appearing in the arenas. If you've seen any gameplay video, I'm sure you've seen them. I feel it's kind of it's a pretty big determinant on how you play those arenas and going after those, and it seems to be pretty battle changing for those players.
Yeah, it's and this is actually something that I think is really neat, because not only in changing the health system from potion spamming into health orbs dropping, have they made a better gameplay and more enjoyable gameplay experience, but at the exact same time, they've made it much more tactical. As Kevin was saying, in boss fights, we're going to have to not just focus on zerging the boss, but if we want to live, we need to make sure we're taking care of the little zombies and skeletons around us that are going to drop health globes. And in PvP, it's going to be such an important part of your strategy and the tactics in the arena that you focus on controlling the area of the map that has the health globes so that once they pop up, you can get them. And we've talked about in the past how it not only heals you, but it heals your ally as well, which that's something that I think is really cool that they added in, because that eliminates the worry of someone with a larger health pool healing themselves while their ally is like at 20% and really needed it. I think that's pretty neat as well. But it's twofold what they've done. They've eliminated a crappy mechanic, and they've added an entirely new tactical side to the gameplay. Again, focusing on making sure you're not just zerging a boss and then controlling certain areas of the arena.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, in the PvP arenas, these health orbs are without a doubt. I don't mean to say it again, but I mean they're the game changers right there. I mean, there were times at BlizzCon when I was losing, and I just kind of went and hoarded all the health globes and ended up winning just because we had that advantage. So basically, a big thing, like Dennis was just saying, is going to be tactical, like planning out stuff, and in the arenas, having map coverage or I guess arena coverage is going to be huge. So I mean, this kind of also brings in other types of gameplay. I don't want to say micro because I mean that's StarCraft, but I mean it kind of makes sense being able to watch the map and understand where your opponents are, not just in the sense of, oh shit, I need to run or I need to go find these guys, but now you also need to take into account, okay, where am I on the map? How long has this match been going on for? And when are these health orbs supposed to pop?
Yeah, no, I'm sure people are going to nail down those timings too, and this is part of anything competitive. And this is actually just the addition, something as simple as the addition of health globes, something as rudimentary as that may seem. It's part of the reason why I'm really excited for Arena and Diablo PvP, because that's going to be a big part of it. Like, health globes are going to get picked up, and there is going to be a timer. Like, it's not there. There's going to be a timer. People are going to figure it out, and they're going to know when they're coming again. So aside from using things like snares to slow down your opponents so you can catch up to them and do damage, so your barbarian ally can catch up to them and do damage, people are going to be using snares and slows specifically like instantaneously before the health globes spawn on their enemies, and as such it's going to allow them to run to the health globes themselves and pick it up pretty easily. And that's a really big tactical aspect of the game, and I think that's something really neat.
I'm actually going to disagree with you there, Dennis. As someone who's not going to play a lot of PvP and just wants to play it occasionally, I'm actually hoping a lot of these health orbs and spawn locations and timers are actually randomized, so that way, I'm not at a fault if I don't know these by heart.
I mean, certainly for a casual player like yourself, when it comes to PvP, I mean, you're a self-proclaimed casual player. I can see why it's frustrating. But at the same time, there has to be some sort of an advantage for the person who is committed to this aspect of the game. I wouldn't expect, I guess I wouldn't expect someone who, for the first time, is golfing to be able to best a golf professional and figure out the direction of the wind and use that to their advantage in a kind of a one-on-one matchup. Well, I think the same thing is going to be the case with anything competitive. The person who is more well-versed in the situation should have the advantage because they've put the time and the effort in. Right,
exactly. And on that note, with this new Battle.net matchmaking system, people like Tyler should not be going up against people like Dennis. So I mean, I don't really think this is something you have to worry about. I've seen a lot of people complaining about that too. I mean, I've seen threads in the past in the Battle.net forums like, "Oh no, what are us casual players going to do against the PvP pros?" I'm thinking that Blizzard has enough sense to have their matchmaking system not obviously pit people who play casually up against people who play, I don't want to say pro, but for
competitively.
Right, yeah, exactly, competitively.
I mean, I guess I would just prefer that the tactics in that come from how people getting those health orbs when they do spawn, rather than having some sort of mathematical, knowing where they're going to drop and when they're going to drop. I would much rather see, tactics in, oh, hey guys, health orbs just popped. Let's head over there, and how how they stop the other team from getting them while they get them.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess I say mathematical. It's just counting like 30 seconds or something. I don't.
That's too much for me.
I'm sure you're capable, and I can understand. I definitely understand. It's the case. It's the case in any game. The person, I mean, you look at shooters, and obviously this is straying far from what Diablo is. Diablo is not a shooter, but in shooter games, there are respawn timers on guns and stuff. So someone picks up a gun, say someone picks up the sniper rifle, and you know the sniper rifle spawn location, and you know that they just picked it up. You have a rough idea if you're competitive about it and knowing when it respawns so you can go get it yourself. That's... they're going to be the same kind of situation if it is the case. I mean, this is speculation. I feel like it probably will have a timer because that's how most things work. Something's picked up, there's a certain amount of time, and then the next one will come. But it could not, so we could just be completely off base. But I think that competitive edge should be granted to the people who are more well-versed in it. But again, from a casual player's perspective, in terms of PvP, someone like yourself, Tyler, who's going to focus more on the PvE aspect of the game, the grinding and the gearing up, I can see why it could be frustrating, certainly.
So just to add something on about the respawn timers of the health globes, I was kind of trying to pay attention to those timers at the BlizzCon because I had a press pass, so I was able to just keep playing. So, haha, for everybody else that had to wait in line. I'm just kidding, but yeah. So as I kept playing through those games, as the arena matches were progressing, I was trying to take into account how long those health globes spawned and what the timer was, and I don't think I was actually able to figure it out. I think at one point I was thinking maybe it had something to do with the overall health of all the players, or I couldn't really tell if it was timed exactly. So there's some kind of algorithm or formula that they have to figure that stuff out.
In regards to health orbs in PvP, I actually just sent a message over to Bashiok and got a response. And it turns out they are on timers and fixed locations. The reasoning for this is basically that they don't want people, standing in one place for, an undetermined amount, knowing that the health orbs are going to spawn in this one location. They want you to move around, play some game, play some PvP, and then as soon as they pop up, that's when you rush over there, or they're about to pop, that's when you rush over there, rather than just trying to hold that one position forever.
Okay, so then there you go.
All right, so I mean, we kind of went a little bit into detail, but I mean that obviously is why we chose the topic, because the health system in Diablo 3, I think, has much further ramifications than people initially think. Like, oh no, there's no more potion spamming, and we got to pick up stupid health globes in the ground. Personally, I think that's definitely something for the better for multiple reasons, and I think that's something we went into pretty heavy detail about. Yeah, we're going to be moving right into the forum discussion, and this is every week we're going to be picking one of you lucky threads in the forums, so go ahead and post away, battle.net dwellers, and we're going to be discussing basically the topic of conversation there and sharing our thoughts and opinions on it. So this week, the lucky winner is Athene Zamarda, something like that, and he's asking about BattleNet 2.0. Now, this guy is obviously a troll, or a little mentally slow. One of the two is an option.
Speaking of mentally slow, I would probably pronounce that as Athens Armada.
No, I don't want to do that. So we're gonna go.
All right, go on.
I'm gonna keep going. We're gonna keep at this. So he asks about BattleNet 2.0, and this entire thing is, I mean, this is just, I think it's ridiculous. But I'll leave you to be the judge of that. His question is: I've heard things being flung around forums, videos, etc. about our famous BattleNet 2.0. I've been trying to find some sort of information about it and could not find anything. I was wondering if anyone has any links, videos, some proof, or maybe just discuss it here. How is it different than the original? Connection issues, because I believe Blizzard is now connecting World of Warcraft, StarCraft 3, yes, Diablo 3, and any convenience that differs from the original. Thanks in advance. Well, Mr. however you pronounce your name, BattleNet 2.0 has been up and running for some time. StarCraft 3 is not even anywhere on the horizon. We're looking at StarCraft 2, in fact.
And 2 expansions.
Yeah, so that's interesting. And yeah, but BattleNet 2.0 is up and running, fully fledged and working. We've got everything there. The infrastructure is there and available. And something really huge to talk about, and this is actually pulled into some of the other discussions on the forums, people talking about the delay of StarCraft 2. One of the big driving factors behind the delay of StarCraft 2 was BattleNet 2.0, them working on the infrastructure and getting it out. So in terms of Diablo 3's possible release, people saying, well, it's going to keep getting pushed back, just like StarCraft. I'm going to say that's probably not the case because we do have Battle.net 2.0. But all that aside, let's talk a little bit about Battle.net 2.0. What do you, what's the benefits, as he asked, in terms of connection issues and other conveniences? Kevin, you got some info for us here?
I definitely have some info. I've been playing on Battle.net for years now, just like I'm sure most of you guys have. But I've actually been paying attention to what kind of Battle.net or the actual service Battle.net instead of just, hey, it's cool, it's a way for me to play my game online. So some things in Battle.net 2 that kind of are being resolved from Battle.net 1. I mean, yeah, there's no chat channels, or rather a lack of, but that's something that we're definitely going to see in D3 as they were added later on in StarCraft 2. So what's going to be fixed? So connection issues, there's no more IP bans or temporary restrictions, as most of you will know them as, because that was something that was that happened in Diablo 2. But I believe I mentioned it last week, it wasn't actually Diablo 2 that was the problem, it was Battle.net 1 that was the problem. Okay, so Battle.net 2, no temp bans or IP restrictions. It's not going to be expiring our characters, as we also talked about last week. Let's see, what else can we add? Hacks. There's going to be no more spam bots, I can assure you that, because Battle.net 2 has been out for over a year now, actually, with StarCraft 2 and World of Warcraft, and nobody has yet to crack the protocol. At least
it's the sorry to interject, but I believe it's called the Warden system. I'm pretty sure that's what it is, and how it works is it basically randomly will scan your computer to see if you've got any kind of back-running programs. That's pretty much it, right?
Well, essentially, Warden, yeah, it's their anti-hack software, and it was something that was in Battle.net 1. I'm kind of hoping that Warden 2.0 is kind of on Battle.net 2.0. I believe they released Warden 2.0 on Battle.net 1 a while ago, but just before they released it on Battle.net 2.0. So that's something that they're obviously actively working on. So as I understand it, what Warden does is it doesn't actually scan for background applications. It scans the memory of the game and any running processes that you might have that are being injected into the game. I believe that's kind of how it works. And for what that means is that if there are any programs that are affecting the game in any way, shape, or form, then Blizzard's going to be able to catch you. Obviously, I mean, I don't want to give away too much information. Not that I have that much information about it, but basically, so things like hacks that call Diablo functions to show, like, for example, map hack will just call, like, show map. I mean, it's not that simple, but it'll call the Diablo 2 function show map, and then you'll have the entire map there. So programs that work like that, Blizzard's going to be able to catch you.
Yeah, and just overall, all Battle.net 2.0 is definitely a much kind of friendlier experience. One big thing that they've added into it is the whole achievement system. There's been a lot of integration. This is probably one of the biggest things too, and this is keeping the entire Blizzard community as a whole. They've added the ability to have the Real ID function. That's something that's really big that they added. And there was actually a big controversy because initially Real ID was supposed to show people's real names on Battle.net, But basically, what this whole thing is doing now is it's showing all of your friends online. The Real ID function is showing all of your friends online and what games they're playing. So if someone's in StarCraft 2 or World of Warcraft, and shortly if someone's in Diablo 3, you're going to see kind of what act they're in, what level they're on, in StarCraft 2, what map they're playing, and you can chat with them across games. And this is kind of a really cool, really big feature that they've added into Battle.net.
Oh, definitely. I mean, basically the Real ID behind Battle.net is kind of their driving force towards making Battle.net now a more social experience and a more social environment as opposed to Battle.net 1. Yeah, that was a huge problem in Battle.net 1 because the legacy games in Warcraft 3, they had different namespaces, and a namespace essentially is when you're on Diablo 2, it's your account name at US West or at US East, whereas on Warcraft 3 it was at Lordaeron and at Azeroth. So when you were messaging and playing with your friends, you'd have to figure out what their brand new account name is and if they changed it and this and that. So in Battle.net 2.0, it's going to be a lot easier to keep track of our Real ID friends. So, I mean, I think this is great, and something I was able to talk to Greg Canessa last year at BlizzCon afterwards for a little bit, just kind of a short conversation. He's the project director on Battle.net 2.0, so he's kind of the head honcho there. Essentially, this is what they're aiming for. They want Battle.net to be a huge social experience. I mean, obviously not Facebook, MySpace kind of a thing, but something similar to that. They want us to be able to keep track of all our friends. They want us to gain relationships and be able to play with these people because, I mean, a lot of us, I I know I'm not just the only one here. I guarantee a lot of you, hell, we all have friends online. You guys are my online. You're my e-friends, I guess.
No, absolutely not.
You afraid to pit that you have e-friends?
Absolutely no. I am not your e-friend, sir.
Right. So I know you aren't. You're just saying it out of love. So basically, I mean, with this kind of functionality, we're gonna be able to play with each other for years and years to come. So you're gonna have to see my pretty little face for the next 10 years. Yes, we get to play with each other and our pounds of meat or flesh, whatever the hell it is.
This went downhill really fast, huh? It's pretty bad. So yeah, I mean, to answer your question, Athens Armada, or however you would like to pronounce it, yeah, BattleNet 2.0 is up and running, and it's a big leap from how the original BattleNet worked, and I don't know, it's again the integration of the new aspects to it, besides the achievement system, the whole Real ID thing, definitely really cool. And then the other, of course, we talked about the Warden program that's going to help cut back on hacking any issues like that. All right, so that pretty much does it for our discussion about the forum post. Next, we're going to be looking to move on into the poll of the week, but before that, let's go ahead and wrap up last week's poll.
With last week's poll, it was actually pretty one-sided. It pretty much 70.97% said they want to all level their artisans to the max level, which, you know, is no surprise. Obviously, people want to do that if the option's there. It all just depends on the viability of being able to do that with your characters. With this new poll, we recently found out that the jeweler, you know, who's going to be combining the gems for us, there was a big discussion about how long it's going to take to actually get those gems from him. You're going to need 3 of a lower level gem to create 1 higher one. And at the time, the first 5 levels of gems were the only ones to drop in games, and there were 14 levels of gems. So essentially, to get one single high level gem, you needed something like over 19,000 level 5 gems to gain one. And obviously, you know, that's a ridiculous number in my opinion, and a lot of people, you know, felt the same way. Because of that, you know, people have voiced their opinion, and they've gone through some iteration, and they have now changed it. We don't know exactly, but we do know that past level 5 will be dropping now, whether it's level 6, level 7, probably no more than 2 or 3 will be dropping to make that number a lot lower, and hopefully going to be a lot easier to make those high level gems. So with the poll, the question actually now is are you happy with that? You know, are you glad that they're making it easier to get those high level items? Our actual options are going to be, yes, the previous number of gems required was too many, but it should still be a long-term goal. Second option is going to be, yes, and it should be considerably less of a process. So even, you know, people who want that even lowered even more, maybe the first 10 levels dropping, so you only have to grind out those last 4 levels. Another option is going to be all level of gems should drop in game, you know, just the way it was in Diablo 2. You didn't have to combine to get perfect gems. You could find them dropping naturally. Another option is going to be, no, I liked the long-term goal. You know, some people were excited about that. You needed 19,000 of these gems to get them, because it really showed, you know, if you got these radiant stars, which is the highest level of that, you've put in the time and effort, and it's kind of, you know, one of those status symbols like people were complaining about, you know, with the level 99. This was just one more way of showing, you know, how devoted you are to this game. And the last options, you don't care either way. You know, you'll get some gems, you'll use them. If not, no big deal.
You can leech off your friends.
Leech off your friends.
Yeah, so that's pretty much it. That is this week's poll. So if you want to go on and head on over to DiabloFans.com, make sure you sign into your account and you can vote for this week's poll. And we're going to be announcing, obviously, the results of the poll in next week's podcast. All right, and then lastly, we're going to be going into user questions. Now, every week, we're going to be answering questions from you guys out there in the community. And if you want to ask questions, you can ask at any time on either one of our Twitters. So it's going to be twitter.com/forcestrategy or twitter.com/thechatgem. You can ask those questions in either one of those. So the first question coming from Twitter is going to be from TrebisSC2, and he asks, do you think arenas will receive much attention from Blizzard post-release, or will patches be primarily PvE focused? Now, obviously, answering this question is, you know, this is basically fortune telling here, or our best shot at it. My personal opinion, my personal thought is that it's definitely a possibility. And I say that just based on the history of how WoW worked out and how PvP in WoW worked. Now, people are going to flip out even mentioning WoW because apparently everyone, or a large portion of people who play Diablo just absolutely detest WoW for one reason or another. Maybe they're just angry about their own personal lives and they're using this as some sort of way to funnel their frustration, but that is neither here nor there. But anyways, my point is that in Warcraft, the way it worked was the game came out with no focus on PvP whatsoever, and then progressively over time, as the community asked for it, and as it seemed like the desire was there, they added battlegrounds, they added the arenas, they added PvP gear, and this is something that kind of took place over time. It wasn't innately in the game during the release. So I think that that's possible in Diablo 3. I'm not saying that it's going to happen. I'm not saying that I think it should happen, but I think that there's definitely the possibility. Any thoughts on that, Tyler? I know you're not a PvP-focused guy, but do you have any thoughts about that possibility?
I know there's people out there like Dennis who, are going to play a lot of PvP with this game, but I'm really hoping that most of the patches are going to be PvE content. I'm sure a lot of it's going to translate into PvP. I mean, if they're changing skills, they're going to see how PvP balance is going. But I would assume most of the patches are going to be PvE content myself.
Well, I mean, as far as I see it, they're going to patch what needs to be patched, and I mean, we could probably just leave it at that. I mean, if something's broken, it'll be fixed. I mean, if something requires a patch, it'll be patched.
All right, fair enough. And now we're going to head on over to Facebook now. We do have a couple of questions from there. The first of which is coming from Peter, a gentleman with a lovely thumbnail image, I would have to say myself. And he is, and you guys can go to my Facebook page and check it out yourself because I'm not about to even describe it here. But he asks, he says, "Hey Force, I've been following your DiabloCast and Purgatory episodes on your YouTube, and I have a question that I would love you to provide an answer for if you have any information. And the question is if there's going to be any sort of character customization prior to rolling your character like there is in WoW." And he gives examples saying if he picks the barbarian and he clicks male or female, is he going to be able to move around the facial expression, the hair color? And I'm pretty sure that's a no, right guys? I'm pretty sure that's not an option.
Yeah, that's a no.
I originally wasn't upset about this. I don't really care about customizing what my character looks like, especially for Diablo 3 with an isometric view. But after seeing Peter's picture, I am now upset because I want my barbarian to look exactly like him.
With the gun and everything?
Everything.
Well, I mean, you can always close your eyes and imagine. But in terms of inside of the game, now Diablo 3 is not going to have character customization. The differences between characters is going to be primarily through gear. Not only obviously the type of gear and how it looks visually, but also the coloring, because dyeing is going to be a big aspect of the game. Maybe not a big aspect, but it's going to be part of the game, dyeing your gear sets.
I would certainly hope dyeing is not a big aspect of the game, and people who play hardcore, that would be terrible for them,
Death. That's I meant the other dye.
Right, but
there, sir.
So the two main reasons behind no character customization is, I mean, for the first one, I believe, and I guess Tyler can correct me if I'm wrong. All of these characters that we're playing it's really just one character. Is it not? Like the Demon Hunter is the Demon Hunter, just like Diablo 2 was. Yes? No, Tyler?
Yeah, correct. It's not like the barbarian we're playing is just one of 1,000 barbarians that exist in this world. We are playing a specific character.
Right, okay. And then the second reason being the camera isn't really going to focus in on what our characters look like. We'll never actually see that. And this is something that Bashiok had mentioned quite some time ago when somebody was talking about the what exactly the items look like in-game. And that's because, I mean, they don't really need to put a great amount of detail into what the items look like because we're never really going to see that up close and personal. So, like Dennis was saying, making these dyes change the colors of the items, that's about as enough customization as we'll really even see.
All right, well, there you go. And the next question from Facebook comes from Dominic, and he asks, what bosses are we expecting in D3 other than Diablo himself? Now, Tyler, I know quite some time ago you actually wrote an article discussing the possible bosses in Diablo 3. Obviously, we aren't really confirmed of anything yet, but do you have any insight onto what we may be seeing, what we possibly may be seeing?
Sure. I'm going to go out on the limb here, and some people I'm sure are going to say otherwise, but I'm going to assume Diablo is one of the bosses in the game. I don't see how they can leave him out. Some people are saying, they'll leave him for an expansion, but I'm going to say he's in the main game, so I'm going to rule that one out. Other than that, there's actually a quote by Blizzard. It was actually quite a while ago. I think it was during the Monk unveiling. They had said that, and I'll quote, "Well, our story tends to focus a lot more on two major demons and the impending invasion of Sanctuary." I think this is actually a pretty big clue on to at least two more people that we'll be fighting. For those of you who don't know too much about the lore, there's a couple major demons out there. There's Diablo, Baal, and Mephisto, who we fought in Diablo 2. With them is actually Belial and Asmodon, who are two other greater demons, and they actually exiled those three into Sanctuary. So I think with those three, at least out of the picture at first, we're going to be seeing those two. And with them being two major characters, I wouldn't be surprised if they're not Act bosses. In fact, Belial, we even got confirmation that he will be a part of Act 2. Other than that, it's all up for grabs. I mean, there's a lot of characters in the Sanctuary lore that could come in. There's the Mistress of Pain, who we've actually seen concept art of, and we haven't seen much of her, and it's pretty detailed. And as weird as it sounds, even the naming scheme, because there's the Lord of Terror and stuff like that. So it seems like she might play, a boss act. There's Lilith, who actually gave birth to the Neilifem, who could, we could be fighting. There's the conspiracy theory of Tyrael being corrupted that a lot of people have tossed around. So, we don't have any confirmation on who the boss acts are. As for myself, I'm going to say Belial, Asmodon, and Diablo are going to be in there, but that's all speculation, I guess, at this point.
Yeah, I guess that kind of makes sense as far as Belial and Asmodon go. As far as I know, I believe that just Belial and Asmodon are the only two that we haven't seen yet. Lilith was in Diablo 2, and she was part of the Uber kind of group, I guess, that they did in a content patch. And I don't believe that there's any other lesser evils. Maybe I'm forgetting right now, but I'm pretty sure that's it. So I think that those two would be a good guess.
All right, there you go. And I guess, like we said, it's all kind of speculation, but they're all educated guess or guesstimations, as Kevin would probably like to call it. It's something like that. Next question we're going to be going to here again on Facebook, and this is coming from Devon, and he asks, will there be some kind of built-in system for item trading, and what is it going to be like? I'm going to take this as one of two things. You're either asking about a possible auction house, or you're asking about a legitimate person-to-person trading system where I slide a piece of gear into this slot, and you slide whatever. That sounds really dirty, by the way. And you move gold or an item of yours into that slot, and then we trade. So in terms of that, Kevin, do you have any insight as to a possible trading system or auction house in Diablo 3?
I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that there's definitely 100% going to be a trading system. In Diablo 1, there was no system. It was basically, okay, let's drop our items at the same time and trust that the other person, is credible enough or has enough respect to actually trade the item. Otherwise, you just got gypped. Diablo 2, as we all know, they added the trading system, so I think it's pretty safe to say that that'll be in D3. As far as an auction house goes, I also want to go out on a limb and say that should also be in D3. It'll be kind of interesting to see how they do it. They might have to implement it within the Battle.net interface, because this isn't WoW. This isn't one big perpetual world. This is just several game instances. So it would be interesting to see how it gets implemented. But I do think that an auction house is more than possible.
And maybe I'm reading too much into a quote, but when we found out about the gem situation from Bashiok, in that quote he mentions, a more robust trading system is going to make it easier to collect, same type gems so you can upgrade them. And he even goes as far as saying, instead of hoarding onto all the little small gems, you actually be able to sell them at that time. And later on when you need them, basically with that money that you sold them with, be able to buy other ones. So, just the whole sell and buy concept to me reads AH as opposed to, I'm sure there's still going to be person-to-person trading, but I would assume an AH is going to hold out most of the trading for us.
And that pretty much does it for user questions. So again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them on either one of our Twitter accounts. That is, again, twitter.com/forcestrategy or twitter.com/thechatgem. And before we wrap this episode of DiabloCast up, I do just want to let you guys know that batch 10 and just recently 11 of the artwork for the Facebook like thing did just get released. So we just got a brand new batch of Diablo artwork, and that's going to be available for view on diablofans.com. All right, so thank you so much again for watching this episode of DiabloCast. And again, this is Dennis for Stu Hamill and for Tyler and for Kevin. Thanks so much for watching, and stay tuned next time, guys.
Take it easy, guys.
See you later.
All right, so I guess we'll move into the health system, and I'm gonna actually have you. Why'd you type Spider Sense Tingling? You're killing me. You can just say these things.
No, I laughed. And then I laughed at something that he typed, and nobody knows what the hell I'm laughing at.
Because you said there was you had a tingling.
You could have said it.
I'm sorry, but if you're gonna be like, there's a tingling feeling, I'm gonna have to make a comment. But
You should have said it though. It doesn't make any sense when you type it.
Yeah, well, I laughed at it. People are like, what the hell is he laughing at?
We could tell him you were watching the honey badger, the angry honey badger.
I wanna have the. I will wrap that up. I am going to wrap it up and make it flow.
All right, jeez, I thought you were doing that, but then you stopped talking.
Use a DOM, wrap it up. Get it?
All right, let's go. Wrap it up. Let's do it.
Yeah, I'll just do it, and we can go right into the forums.
Oh, okay.
Right into the forum
right.
stuff. So.
Sure. Yeah, that's fine. So what do we want to pick here? Which buffoonery do we want to highlight this week?
I say we talk about Battle.net 2 stuff, even though this is a little while ago, but looks like they're still talking about it.
and what are we saying about it?
I don't really know. Maybe.
I have heard things. I have heard dung being flung around on the forums about the famous Battle.net 2.0.
Oh my god.
Proof. He wants proof that Battle.net 2.0 exists.
I think no. This has got to be a troll. SC3.
Right. Yeah, that's what I was saying before. I said it like 3 times and nobody even heard me.
Well, because we don't listen to you when you talk, Kevin.
Oh.
You put a dot, you idiot.
Tyler's not from before.
I guess I just got my next tweet ready for Bashiok, so we can figure this one out for you guys.
What?
That's all I have to say.
Oh, okay, cool.